right. What up, you marks? And welcome to Pa Jobbers, baby. Joined by CL Kid, I am Slice Cake Jake, and making his triumphant, incredible, beautiful return is a beautiful Brett.
I don't know why I do that because I hate Hulk Hogan. You know what I mean? Like I'm not a Hulk Hogan fan, so I have no idea. But I mean, that's what everybody knows the Hogan thing. So and I do like the ear.
It's funny how you're doing the Hogan thing, I'm doing the Too Sweet thing, and we're about to start this first topic, and I think we're both going to go a different direction, and you'll see.
We're for sure. I think so too. So
I'm excited to go the directions, but I mean, I will say, Brett, I love when you do it. I don't know, you do it better than Hogan. It looks like it looks like you're happy about it. I don't know. So
Hogan goes out there, he does that shit every night, and I'm just like once a week, just
yeah, he's just so labored at this point.
It's the Cornette shirt that adds to it.
Oh
probably. All right. Well, we're gonna swing back into things here with our "Burn It Down" segment, and as CL Kid, what's that?
Was that what the Marge Simpson edition?
Yeah, the Marge. Yeah. One of these days, I will get my clip playing ability right, and we won't have to rely on my terrible impressions of music and our singing ability. So, we're gonna jump right into Burn It Down with a really good topic. Who was better, DX or NWO? Let's start with you, CL Kid.
Okay, cool. For me, all right. So I've always been a WWE guy, right? So clearly, the NWO during the takeover for WCW, they played that was. For me, that was the biggest hype for them, that transition and seeing that and just loving that. And obviously Scott Hall and those additions. But DX, man, DX for me is the pick. And obviously I love the slow-mo black and white NWO intro because that was back then, that was technology-wise, that was just kind of cool. It was different. But DX, the music, the vibe, and then obviously Triple H, Shawn Michaels, like just them alone, and then even the New Age Outlaws being thrown in there, and X-Pac, like, I just love that crew. I love kind of what they stood for in the way that they were just like vandals coming in to do whatever the hell they wanted to do, no matter who it was. Almost like a Stone Cold Steve Austin, but as a group and in a fun party way. So it was kind of different. I definitely loved that. NWO was cool, but I feel like it's close. I'm not trying to put some big gap here, but I feel like they were more so like any other faction where, you know, they're the power, they're coming in, they're going to take over. Yes, just kind of like DX, but with no like extra. I mean, they had some flair and some style points, but at the core, they were pretty much just a dominant wrestling faction. Whereas DX was like party and you just didn't know what the hell was going to happen. So I feel like maybe it's more about moments. There was a lot of DX moments that I really stood out to me. So for me, I'm going to go DX. What are you thinking, Brett?
So I'm going to cheat a little bit, and I'm going to go with when the NWO first came out, I think that was the best faction ever, you know, with Hall and Nash and the Outsiders and the Invasion and all that stuff. And then Hogan finally turning heel after, you know, after Hulkamania and everything like that. And nobody saw it coming and everything. And like, granted, I'm not a big Hogan as a heel guy. I think heel Hogan is the only thing cheesier in the world than babyface Hogan. But if they would have stayed with Hall, Nash, Hogan, and Waltman, I think they would have been fine. It was the fact that further down the road, half the roster was in the NWO. You know, Buff Bagwell, no disrespect, was in the NWO. Disco Inferno was in the NWO. Jeff Jarrett was in the NWO. And I think that's what Virgil was in the NWO, you know? So, but so I think, yeah. And I think in the beginning it was definitely the NWO, but they ruined it by letting everybody in. And so I would say at the beginning, the NWO, but for longevity's sake, DX. Because with DX, you had, you know, at the beginning, you had the world champion with the Heartbreak Kid, Shawn Michaels, and then you had the tag team champion. Well, first you had the 4 core members, but eventually they had the world champion. I think Triple H was the European champion, and then you had the Outlaws, who were tag team champions. So they were draped in gold, and that was very like Four Horsemen-esque, and the fact that they didn't let any other members in except for Waltman when he eventually came over. China was in there, obviously, and there was that flirtation kind of thing with Kane, but I don't think he ever really joined or anything. But the fact that they kept it the same 4 or 5 people, the whole time, I think for the sake of longevity, I give it to DX.
I think the better stable was NWO for the impact that it had on the organization comparatively. I can't believe you think heel Hogan is cheesier than face Hogan, dude.
I'm not buying it. I'm not buying it.
Okay, so Brett, is that because he was
good, bro?
Already,
come on.
Was that because he was already getting a little older and you didn't get the full impact of a heel turn? Like, for example, John Cena goes heel tomorrow. He comes back and goes heel. Like, yeah, that's cool. Maybe, you enjoy it, but it's a little late for that. Like, do you think if you would have caught Hogan 3 years earlier, 4 years earlier, I mean, I know he was still older at that point, but, just a little earlier in the prime, do you think you would have liked the heel Hogan more? Not say more than the face Hogan, but just more than you did now.
I just have a hard time buying Hogan as a bad guy. I mean, because when I was growing up, I grew up like right in the middle of Hulkamania, so, I mean, I'm not a big Hogan fan now, but when I was a kid, I was, so just like everybody else my age. So I just had a hard time looking at Hogan as a bad guy.
I thought that was probably the best heel turn ever. Because of that reason, I felt like, he was this guy who was in movies, magazines, like TV shows. He was doing it all, and then shows up, with the scruffy black 5 o'clock shadow and the blonde still around, the goatee, and looking like a badass with all the black. They first, all 3 of them were just in black and red to start. I don't know. I was stunned. I was like, this is awesome. And I thought he did it so well. I hated him. The music was so good too. It just got you like out of your seat. Yeah. Voodoo Child, just the,
Voodoo
I don't know. It's just, I thought Hogan was a great heel turn. I'm shocked to hear you say that, but I mean, I guess I guess it's kind of like Cena. If someone's like a big Cena fan as a kid, seeing him turn heel might be a little tough to take.
Did you like the Rock heel turn?
The Rock heel turn?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Well, The Rock was a heel before he was a face.
Okay, well, yeah, but that was like, Nation Domination was kind of. I'm talking about like.
But what do you mean it was kind of eh?
I'm not saying he was kind of but that was the introduction to The Rock. You didn't have a history to be like, this is The Rock. Like, once he became The Rock, out of that faction, became who he was as a face and blew up. Then he went heel. Did you like that heel?
No, he was a heel. Remember, he was corporate. He was corporate Rock, and then
he went face is when he really, really took off. When he had the crowd with him saying everything. I'm not saying he wasn't already a person. Like CM Punk came up, right? CM Punk did his whole thing, and then he was a face for a while, and he was a face, and he was just fine, and people liked him. But the second he turned heel after already establishing himself, he blew up. And that's what I'm saying. When The Rock finally went face, and not right in the beginning, but as he started taking off, finally The Rock has come back, and everyone's cheering with it, everyone's rolling with it, and he became the huge star that, like the Cena, like the face, and oh wow, this guy he sells. Like, he's not just a good heel, but like he's an amazing face. Then he went back to being heel.
He was interchangeable.
Okay, that's fine.
The Rock was a fantastic heel. He would get out in 2003, 2002 to 4 or 5ish. He got his guitar. He would sing about how each city sucked. Yeah. Like, he was phenomenal.
But his prime was that face run that he had.
No.
Yes,
no,
it was.
definitely not.
Absolutely
Definitely
not. No, his prime is from
prime.
96 to 2004, and in that time frame, he went back and forth from face and heel, and it didn't matter.
Okay.
Right.
But he went back and forth, right? But when he was high point face, I'm not talking about what you like. I'm talking about in terms of his sellability, his high mark, what you think of when you think of The Rock. It was when he was a face. Face Rock saying heel
think
thing.
So. I think he was a dick when he was at the top of his prime. Like, he was making fun of wrestlers. And
do you think face or heel? I just say The Rock. and I say face or heel, not your preference of liking him as a
I
heel.
think heel.
I think
I
heel as
struggle
well.
to remember
I don't
face.
think anybody would pick heel.
Well,
Oh,
the only
don't know.
I don't think he was ever technically like a baby face. I mean, I think the only reason he's perceived as a baby face is because he was one of the most over people in the history of the business. You know, because even
he adjusted to that, and he became saying face-like things, pandering to the crowd. Those are face things. You don't do that as a heel, period. So if you start pandering to the crowd, you're a face. The Rock's gimmick is pander to the crowd because
he was
a face.
he wasn't pandering to the crowd. The crowd was just enamored with him. They were doing
pandering.
all of that. They were doing the millions and millions and all that stuff when he was a heel. Like
You
right
say
at the
The
beginning.
Rock was pandering to the crowd?
The Rock doesn't pander to the crowd. He calls himself the people's champion. I'm not saying he's pandering to the crowd like I have to do it because I'm getting no reaction. I have to say Buffalo, we love you, and then just to get a cheer. The Rock's the Rock, the man. He can say nothing and he still gets cheered. But my point is, his whole style was based around pandering to the crowd. Finally, The Rock has come back to you say the thing so the crowd can say it. You know, the millions and millions so the crowd can say it. Everything he says is based on the crowd reaction, based on using
your point. Your point you're making is that every wrestler panders to the crowd because he has a slogan. He has a slogan that he uses, like every wrestler does.
So when New Day says New Day,
he wasn't pandering to the crowd when he was Rocky Maivia. Shout out to Felipe for calling that out.
That's fine. I'm talking about when New Day says New Day and then waits and they say Rocks. That's pandering to the crowd. When New Day's a heel and they say New Day and they want to say Rocks, but the crowd say sucks, they're not pandering to the crowd when they do that. They're doing their thing. Yes, they know they're going to get a crowd reaction, but that is not a pander to the crowd. Pandering to the crowd means you're going to get the crowd to do with you something positive, not a negative thing where you say, oh, I hate this, I hate America, and then they go, boo, like, duh. That's not pandering to the crowd. That's getting a reaction out of the crowd. But pandering means in a positive way, you're going to say positive things that I want you to say along with me. And that's a face move. The Rock's whole legacy is based on...
Fine. That's a slogan move. It's a face slogan move.
Fine. We don't need to bring that up. My point is, based on that same vibe, Hogan, you don't think that Hogan, this is more to Brett now, you don't think that Hogan, if Hogan would have hit it a little sooner and you didn't fully, I mean, I know he's had a long run, so at this point it's hard to see him as a heel. But you don't think if you would have done it earlier, that you would have been more okay with it? You don't think he did good enough as a heel, is my point?
You know,
he did good as
yeah, I mean, you make excellent points about Hogan, but I really think, now that I think about it, I understand that point. I do turn and everything. I guess it's more of a preference thing. I just had a hard time looking at Hogan as a bad guy.
I'm with you there because I didn't really like Austin switching over.
Oh my God, what's
He was
going
great.
on here? We have someone who doesn't like heel Hogan. We have someone who thinks The Rock's a pandering face.
He is a pandering face.
If pandering is a good thing, I'll accept it. Well,
yeah, it is a good thing. I'm not knocking it. That was great. You know, Enzo Amore and them pandering.
Did you chant along from home behind your TV? Did you say?
Hell yeah.
I did the stuff. I did everything. Are you kidding me? I would wrestle teddy bears. I did all that.
Oh, I love that. That was great. I love the way he held the belt over his shoulder. I was just such a big fan. Just flipped it over his shoulders.
Dude,
so good.
The walk onto up the stairs and across the front apron there, like to go do it to the corner.
Strutting.
So not to go on like a rock dick suck kind of thing, but the one like low key thing that I always loved about The Rock is when he would do his kicks and he'd like wiggle his leg a little bit before he would kick the guy. God, I love that. Like going back
the third hit and
because I was watching they have a Rock's Most Electrifying Matches collection on the network, and I was watching and that was like one thing he would do those kicks where he'd shake his leg every time he would do it, and I was like, God, that was brilliant.
Dude,
brilliant.
Like, there is not much difference, and I don't react quickly. There's not much difference between The Rock's moveset and The Miz's moveset. They do very simplistic old school moves, but The Rock's selling ability to do those exact same moves is like 1,000 times better than The Miz. I love The Miz, but you know what I mean? Like if The Miz could add that little style that The Rock did and like elevate. I knew this would happen. Knew that would happen. King Doozy. in the building.
Wow.
Perhaps.
Wow.
He's seeing red.
He's got to come on and dish it now. Hey, CL Kid, by the way, so are you saying that The Rock is a face or a heel? It doesn't
Me?
matter if you think The Rock's face or heel.
Let's be
Oh boy.
How goes it, boys?
Deuce,
Hey,
man.
bud.
What's up, dude?
Not a whole lot, buddy. Hanging out with you guys.
Love it. Oh, man, we got the fatal four-way in the house tonight. This is great.
Fucking right, man. Bitches can't keep me down.
Well,
So,
go ahead, CL Kid. But we're gonna roll to the next topic, but I'll let you
yeah,
get your
okay, so just
last
go ahead
thing
and
in. Go
jump
ahead.
into that next topic. Get Doozy in on this.
All right. So moving right along, Deucey, one team has to go, not including their singles careers. So just look at them straight as a tag team. Edge and Christian, the Dudley Boys, or the Hardy Boys. Which team is going?
Fuck, that's hard. Are you insane? Like that's like,
TLC?
geez, Louise. No singles, just tag, right?
Dude, I came
Edge and
up with this
Christian.
like a week ago, and I still haven't answered. Still
Edge
don't-
and Christian. Peace out.
Edge and Christian.
The reason is because both those guys had such a great singles career that it kind of eclipses. I mean, it doesn't really necessarily eclipse their entire tag team run, but you think about what the Dudley Boys have done for tag team. You think about what the Hardy Boys have done for tag team. I don't know. I don't have all the stats available to me from NWA Pro or anything like that, but what I can tell you is that based on my opinion, those guys have had more tag team reigns than Edge and Christian. Next.
I'll go next. I totally agree, dude. I think take the singles careers out of it. It's Edge and Christian. The Hardy Boys, the Dudley Boys, they're more known for their tag team accolades and around the globe. That's another thing too. Like there are tag teams around the globe in multiple organizations, not just WWE. And Edge and Christian, I more like look at their tag team stint a lot with the Brood, and then in the TLC matches, it was awesome. But in those matches, you were really more about the Hardy Boys and the Dudley Boys, and they had the flashier moves, in my opinion, and they might have had more titles. Actually, I'm not 100% sure on that, but I think across the board, you got to go Edge and Christian. Get out of here, Brett.
I mean, Edge and Christian won those TLC matches, but it doesn't matter.
Oh, that's true.
All of them.
I will actually eliminate the Hardy Boys, and I
You're
love the Hardy
fucking
Boys.
dumb.
Hold on. delete. No, I'm eliminating the Hardy Boys only because Edge and Christian, where they don't get their fair shake, is they brought more personality to tag teams, like outside of the ring. Now, obviously, the Hardys doing, mainly Jeff, doing whatever crazy thing he was going to do. And obviously, the 3D is still my favorite wrestling move, period. I mean,
so
I know
good.
it's so I talk about it almost every day just on my own. And it's just
butter. It's just freaking butter.
Freaking perfect. So I can't eliminate them just on that alone. I just think the personality, the backstage presence, doing the little skits, doing all the things they did. Edge and Christian brought a different dynamic that the Hardys or the Dudleys really couldn't bring. And I don't want to eliminate that. I really like what they got going. I thought they were great in ring as well. The Hardys were great, but I feel like they were more Shane McMahon-ish at points. Like you had a lot of great moments, a lot of cool things.
Can somebody get this guy? He's a fucking idiot.
No, hold on. Not Shane McMahon to the level like
Why
you
do you
guys.
have to hate on Shane McMahon always?
Whoa, I've never hated on Shane McMahon.
Someone is.
Hated on Shane
You
McMahon.
always hate on Shane McMahon.
I never hate on Shane McMahon. I was the only one that said I don't
The
think Shane McMahon
oranges.
should be out of wrestling. I'm just saying, like, when it comes to Shane McMahon, like, you guys just take it automatically and think that I'm talking everything is Shane McMahon to that level. But when it comes to Shane McMahon, like, we were looking for the moments of Shane McMahon. Looking for the dive. You're looking for, the corner-to-corner chair. You're not really, like.
Oh, maybe Corey hates Shane McMahon. That's who it is.
Okay.
Corey.
That's fine. Yeah, it's not me.
Who?
Okay. So my point is, like, the Hardys were more about that one moment, and it was great and it was cool, like the flip, the dive off, and that's great. But like just carrying a match, I like the Dudleys. Just personality, I like Edge and Christian, so I gotta eliminate the Hardys. Brett.
So this one was fairly easy for me, and it's the Dudleys. And
jeez Louise.
I mean, out of those three, you know, that's the one that's a tough one, because you know, without all three of them, you don't have any of them. You know, like they all elevated each other. I do think that Edge and Christian and the Hardys elevated each other more because they were the first ones to have that TLC match. That first one that was just a ladder match that was a TLC match. That was the one that elevated the whole thing. And with the Dudleys, and I don't mean that as any disrespect to the Dudleys, because, you know, like I said, you don't have those matches without those guys. There wasn't any other team in there that you could have put in there that would have gotten the same results as them. It's just out of those three, I have to go with the Dudleys by default.
Okay, but why? I need to know why. I mean, did you not watch ECW at all when those guys were kicking so much ass in ECW, and then they came over and just kept on going?
Extremely crappy wrestling.
Yeah, fuck you, dude. You're a Paul Heyman guy. You're a Heyman guy.
I am a Paul
dude.
Heyman guy. I do like Paul Heyman.
Okay, how about this? Okay, so Jake, because you were more like on the edge with it, not the edge, you know, right on the cliff there. If you, for me,
to eliminate their boy.
Yeah, this would change my answer. If the Dudleys did not have the 3D, if they just had a standard finisher move, whatever,
Still would go Dudleys. Still would go Dudleys.
I think
because you can't. I'm not going to keep a tag team around just for their finisher. I mean, they have the whole gimmick is awesome. You know what I mean? Like they even had Spike Dudley. They had like the dweeby. Just they did the was up thing like I was just doing like on the top rope.
You're a nerd.
They did a dive bomb into the nuts. Like they were awesome, and they were super fluid. Like they're both big dudes, and they were very fluid. They had crisp moves. Like it just they didn't screw much up, and those TLC matches, like the tables were part of my favorite part, and that was their thing. They were the tables guys.
Yeah.
You know.
So, CO Kid, you're saying that the Legion of Doom wouldn't have been anything had it not been for the Doomsday device?
No, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is when I have two people that are very close, I gave the edge to the Dudleys because I do like the table element. I do love the 3D so much that, yes, the Hardys, the Dudleys have a bigger history line and all that, like you were talking about ECW, but the Hardys do bring a lot to the table during the match. They do a lot of, you know, in-ring flips and styles. That's not a big deal now, but at that time it was. And I respect those things, and I love those things. And then they bring the big spot with the dive off or whatever it may be. But for me, I like the Dudleys slightly more. Now, you take away the 3D, like, it seems like a small thing to take away, but when I'm so close, it would have been enough to make me flip over to the Hardys as that. Or to Dudleys being eliminated. No, I'm not getting into just the finisher being enough to change everything. But you take away the stunner from Austin, I'm going to view
that to me, that's a little bit. That's probably a bigger.
Extreme, but I just wanted to make the point. Yeah, I wanted to make.
Yeah, like Stone Cold not having the stunner. That's I don't know. That might affect him a little bit.
Yeah, and I was trying to pick the biggest extreme I could, but you know, obviously.
We always talk about Stone Cold because he's the greatest of all time.
And then to answer Deuce's question, just about why, strictly process of elimination. You know, E and C are maybe my favorite tag team ever. Definitely in the top 3. You know,
what?
Yeah,
that's great.
Like favorite.
You're a fanboy for him.
As far as favorite, I am.
He said favorite. He didn't say
okay. That's all right.
If I'm going favorite, E and C are 1, 2, or 3, somewhere up there.
Jesus.
The Hardy Boys were just that was the sizzle on those matches. You know, the Hardy Boys, like those matches are great without the Hardy Boys, but the Hardy Boys are what made those matches. Like most of the memorable moments from those matches involve a Hardy, you know, and I also like them. What's up?
I said grill marks, Bard.
So, and I liked their tag team work outside of that. I thought they were a great team. They worked really well together. I loved that thing where they would both come from diagonal turnbuckles, and Jeff Hardy would do the leg drop, and Matt would do the splash and everything. I thought that was really cool. So I can't go against either ENC or the Hardys. So it's strictly a process of elimination.
All right, that's fair. That's fair. Well, good topics to start, gents. Let's get out of Burn It Down and move on to Push or Bury, where we either push a storyline or bury it. This first one, Seal Kid, do you want to talk about this one? Canceling SummerSlam?
So SummerSlam, right? So there's rumors that they want to postpone or change it up or do something with it because initially you had Edge was supposed to have his third match with Randy Orton, and Lesnar was supposed to come back and go up against McIntyre for the rematch, right? So now, without the crowd, it's seeming like not so much just that Lesnar doesn't want to be there, but WWE doesn't want to waste a Lesnar appearance with no crowd. So now they're kind of scrapping that match. It's looking like they're going to go a different way, maybe Orton versus McIntyre. We don't know yet, but they're not sure how they want to proceed with that. Do you think that we should just cancel SummerSlam or postpone it? Let's just put that as one choice, cancel it or postpone, or just roll with it as is and create a new booking of some sort. What do you think, Doozy? Start with you.
Cancel it. Cancel all fucking pay-per-views from here on out. Because right now,
wrong.
For example, they're gonna give us a fucking shitty fucking televised match where they do like the TV story. Okay, I'm over it. All right, you gave it to me at WrestleMania. It was great. You did it to me at fucking Money in the Bank. It sucked dick. So now I don't want that shit anymore. I want the crowd in there. If we're gonna get Lesnar back, which I don't care if we get Lesnar back, but I want Edge back. And you gotta know,
injured till next year.
Your mom's fucking injured. Shut up. Anyway, listen. So what I'm saying is, even if he is out for a whole year, okay, just bear with me for a second. We've all had it up to here with 2020. All right, everybody has. We get these matches and they're supposed to be something spectacular. They're not anymore. They're not. They're lackluster at best. I'm giving them some credit for that, but it's just not what it should be. Come watch. What is it? It's this weekend, right? When we got the horror show. They should have called it Shit Show because that's what it's going to be. Because we're not going to get the greatest match that we should from Rey Mysterio and that other douchebag. I forgot what his name is.
Seth Rollins.
Doesn't matter. What I'm saying is just fucking cancel it. Just do your weekly televised show, then come back when everybody's good to go and do it right. Go.
You want to go, Brett?
Goat.
Oh, sorry. I don't know. This is one of the things I guess I don't have an opinion on. I'm good either way. I'm pretty ambivalent about it. I'd like to see it because I like watching pay-per-views one Sunday night every month. I haven't, for the most part, I've enjoyed all of them so far since the shutdown. There's been stuff about things that I definitely didn't like, but I do like, all the Bayley matches that she's been in, I thought have been great. There's been plenty of them that I've liked more than I haven't liked. But at the same time, if they want to cancel it for the sake of safety, yeah, I'm all for that. But if they want to cancel it because they think it's going to suck, then I might have a problem with. Even though I would understand why they would want to do it because, wrestling is so much better with a crowd.
Yeah, I'm going to go with actually pushing. Cancel. I'll bury the thought. Pushing the pay-per-view. I still want the pay-per-view. I still think it needs to be there. The pay-per-views, yes, Doozy, Raw, SmackDown, taking a step back with no crowd, not as good as it used to be, or even with the crowds, it wasn't that great anyway. But the pay-per-views are still elevated matches than Raw or SmackDown. I still enjoy them more than I enjoy Raw or SmackDown. So for the most part, you get to weed out all the lameness, all the corny rivalries you don't worry about. Yes, SummerSlam is supposed to be like, other than Mania, it's the biggest night of the year for pay-per-views. But that doesn't mean you can't automatically make another pay-per-view great when the crowd does return. So you figure, let's say the first crowd thing is TLC, or I don't know. I don't think it's scheduled, but like something that's a lesser than SummerSlam. That's still going to be a better pay-per-view than what this SummerSlam would be in terms of match card, because they really want to hit on that crowd big event. So it really does not like you're limited to having a better pay-per-view because it's called SummerSlam. And it's always been a better. So I would rather just have the pay-per-view and enjoy something now in the meantime. And it's not like you can't run with the Daniel Bryan or somebody else big as the main, top of the card match. So I'm good with keeping it. I understand your points, but pay-per-view wrestling is still better than Raw wrestling.
So it's canceling SummerSlam. So I'm burying the thought of canceling SummerSlam. Ducey, you're wrong. I'm sorry. You're just wrong. And they went over with WrestleMania. It worked out. It exceeded our expectations for what it was going to be. At this point, I'm used to no crowds. And I don't want to have zero wrestling, so I'd rather have wrestling than zero wrestling. And we've actually gotten some pretty stellar matches. Like Brett said, Billy's been great. All the Randy Orton matches have been great. Seth Rollins doesn't have bad matches. I'm sorry. It's not going to happen. Rey Mysterio doesn't have bad matches. It's not going to happen. They're going to put on a great match. I don't know how the hell they're going to do the eye polling from that. That thing's weird. I don't know what's going on with that, but overall, I think it's going to be great. I think SummerSlam should still go on. There's no crowd. They have somewhat of a crowd now. They have talent around the ring, so you still kind of have some, interaction going on. You can't get rid of your marquee for pay-per-views. They're towing the line of possible bankruptcy because they're not like baseball or football or basketball. They need to be going consistently. They cannot afford to go on a hiatus. And that's just the fact of the matter. Same thing with the UFC. That's why the UFC is still going. I'm surprised these other, events are not doing when Bellator is forced to start again because they just can't handle waiting on the side. So I'm going to bury it.
Yeah, I'm with you. I mean, I guess just to transition into the next thought, we talked about Randy Orton maybe taking on Drew McIntyre. Obviously, none of this is set in stone because you haven't even showed this in the storyline yet. But Randy Orton being the next challenger for the title and maybe even going over and winning. Push or bury Randy Orton as the next champ. Is that something you'd like to see?
Can I
start
go
with
first?
Brett.
Okay.
I'm going to bury Randy Orton being the next WWE champion. And it's not because I don't think he deserves it or he's not worthy of it or he can't do it or he's not a great champion. It's the fact that, he's in that match to make Drew McIntyre look good, and he will. So I'm burying it. Deuce?
It's a toughie. I mean, it's all up in the air. That's all hearsay. You don't know if Randy Orton's actually going to do it or if it's, going to be some other person. But I'm going to say push it. I actually would like to see Randy Orton have another title reign. Yes, you're right, Brett. Him with Drew McIntyre, that match would be amazing. Those guys would push each other, and Randy Orton would be like, come on, man, let's do this. And imagine him kicking the skull off of Drew McIntyre and getting that win. Holy shit. I mean, the guy's a heel no matter what, but if he does that, it's going to be great.
So imagine Drew McIntyre kicking out of the punt. Imagine what that would do for Drew McIntyre.
Ooh, that's like an automatic skyrocket to...
I think that would be pointless though, because when you have a heel that does something enormous, like a Lesnar beating the Undertaker streak, it elevates their power so high. When you have a face that does something big like that, it elevates you a little bit, but you're already as over as you're going to be since you're like the face of the franchise here.
Here's one of the issues, and Felipe will be shocked to hear me say this because he knows how much a WWE mark I am. One of the issues with WWE is they can't help themselves when someone is over.
Yeah.
And when someone is over, they want to push them to the top and get a title, and then that potentially ruins them, a la The Fiend. He's not ruined, but there just was no point to him having a title. I think there's no point to Randy Orton having a title. Would I personally love it? Yes, because I love Randy Orton. But I don't think there's any point to him having the title. It only prevents other guys from continuing to go in a great direction. I don't care for Drew McIntyre, but that actually would hurt him if that happens. I don't know how they're going to have Drew McIntyre drop the title. He's probably going to be in one of those situations where he drops it and quickly wins it back. But I don't think it's necessary. I don't want to see Randy Orton lose to Drew McIntyre, so I would prefer him not to face Drew McIntyre. I wouldn't mind him going over on Braun Strowman because I can't stand that beefcake. But I don't think I don't think there's any point to putting Randy Orton. Just keep him squashing big men until Edge comes back, and just keep riding out this legend-killing status. Drew McIntyre is not a legend. It doesn't make sense to be punted because the punt is only being used for legends right now.
I'm with you there. I'll push him being next champ, but I would prefer it on the Strowman side. I don't think him losing is going to help his, going through and taking people out. It kind of ruins that. And I don't think McIntyre losing, to another boot type move like his is a good thing either. So yeah, if he beats Strowman, that's on Brandon. That's perfect. So next, Shayna Baszler returns. How you guys feeling that? You pushing or burying? Not obviously. You're not going to bury her return and just want her gone forever, obviously. Some of you may.
I'm burying the shit out of this.
Push or bury a Shayna Baszler big-time push.
I'm not only burying this, but I'm burying the fact that she came out and beat up Akira Tozawa and my ninjas. Like, why? Why did she have to do that? Why?
Like that?
There's no point to that. Have her come out and destroy, women in the division or something.
Like
poor
Nia Jax.
little ninjas.
There's no point in her coming out and beating up ninjas, but the ninjas are fine.
And her promo was good for her, but it still wasn't good. They're trying to do the she's got all the ripped, clothing, like the Ronda Rousey thing. They're trying to do, like, just let her be her own gimmick. Like, just get out of the MMA Ronda thing and just let her do her own thing. She had her chance. They should have had her go over on Becky Two Belts, and they didn't do it, and that was it. I'm sorry, Shayna. Your time is up.
Well, she apparently had an issue with Vince McMahon, or Vince had an issue with her backstage. So, nonetheless, I'm with you. I mean, I'm not burying her altogether. I think she still could be a big part of the division, but I will bury the thought of her being a top heel. I'm not really buying that yet. That loss to Becky was it. Like I said, at that time, I was hoping she would beat Becky, even though I like Becky more. And then Becky goes through a year of doubting herself and comes back. But I'm not with Baszler. She bores me. I don't know how you guys feel, but for me, very.
About to find out how we feel.
Yeah, let's hear it.
I like her.
No, I knew it.
Like Shayna Baszler. I've always liked Shayna Baszler.
You closet.
Coming out beating up ninjas. Shut up. Coming out beating up ninjas. That's awesome. She could kill trained assassins, man. I'm telling you, damn, dude. Just like when we saw the Viking pop. What are those dudes called? Yeah, had the four of them.
The Viking pop. What?
I don't know what those guys are. They look like pop figures to me. So anyway, yeah. I mean, if she can train or she can kill trained shinobis, yeah, she's on my list of people that are just going to rise up. Be the cream of the crop. Come in there. My money is she's probably going to be the Raw champion real soon. Brett?
Wow.
So, man, this is I like the character of Shayna Baszler. I didn't at first. I thought it was kind of weak, but the more I saw it, the more I liked it. I think she's a great heel, which I'm starting to question CL Kid's heel face barometer with this, and also that whole thing with The Rock. But anyway,
+1.
So I'm gonna push it, and
nice.
but
Fucking
the only way that I would bury it is if they brought up those two heroin using looking girls that used to hang out with her in NXT. They were the worst. And if
give
they
her
call
a stable,
them
you're right. Give her a stable.
Give her Ruby
Paul
Riott.
Heyman.
Ruby
Give
Riott.
her Paul Heyman. Ruby Riott would be good. Paul Heyman as the mouthpiece, because I like Ruby Riott, but that's true.
Well, Heyman could be the mouth, and then Ruby Riott could be the nose.
I'm an aardvark.
So push, yeah.
All right,
Okay.
push. All right, we're gonna round these out.
Quick, just to go quickly. I don't know if you guys saw Kairi Sane and Asuka had a little post Raw thing on the little Raw post show. Kairi Sane's contract's going to be done with for WWE. One last match, apparently, obviously, unless she wins and they do something new with her. Kairi Sane versus Asuka, it's been accepted. If she keeps the title, obviously going through the pay-per-view, which seemingly she will now. push or bury Kairi Sane just having this opportunity and being gone? Brett.
I'm gonna push it reluctantly. I'm gonna push it because I think that's what's happening is Kairi Sane's leaving. But I hate it because I like Kairi Sane. I think she's great. I've never seen her have a bad match, so I don't want to see it, but what are you gonna do? It's not my company. Deuce?
Kairi Sane, bye-bye.
Aw. Jake?
I don't care.
What an asshole.
I'll push it for Kairi Sane to have a final match
second
before she leaves. Good for her.
Yeah, Brett, that was exactly what I would have said. I agree with you fully on that for sure.
It sucks.
Yeah, it does. Go ahead, AEW boy.
All right, so we had a couple things happen AEW wise. We'll start off first with Omega during the All Elite match versus the Jurassic Express. At the end, went ham on Stunt, and then they had to pull him off, and he went kind of chaotic and was in the corner talking to himself. Are we starting to see a heel turn here, or would you push or bury Omega turning into the heelish type crazy person from New Japan Pro Wrestling days?
I'll start, and I'm going to push. I don't care if he's heelish. I don't care if he's face crazy, like, Mankind. I don't care what role it is. He doesn't need to be in a tag team anymore. He's way better as a singles run. I will take any other version because when he came over, I was excited. Like, oh, you got Omega. Like, that's a huge get. And now he's just stuck in this tag team where, no offense to them, they're cool and all. But you know what I mean? The singles run is what I've known for him. That's what I've been wanting to see. So I'll take any version singles run regardless. And I'm okay with that if that's a heel run as well.
So I'm also going to push it from a business standpoint. I think they don't have because you have Jericho. He's your top heel, right? Who do you have on the top that's a heel that's other than Jericho? I mean, MJF is not top guy yet. He will be eventually, obviously, but he's not there yet. So you got to have another heel up there. Rude. So just from a business standpoint, push it. But I'm fairly ambivalent about Omega. So whatever he wants to do is good. But from a business standpoint, yeah, push it. Push it real good.
It's the second time you've used that word ambivalent.
That's a good word.
Word of the day, calendar.
All right. I don't give a shit. Fuck Kenny Omega. Next.
Whoa!
I don't need to see the V trigger 27 times a match.
I saw that coming.
You love that V trigger.
Stupidest fucking
you get
finisher
triggered
ever.
off that V trigger.
I like one V trigger, maybe even 2 V triggers. I like 3 V triggers, but after that, which is in every match, that's when I don't like the V trigger anymore. Same with the Bucks doing the super kick.
I think CL Kid had the best point. Get him out of the tag team. Let him have a singles run. Totally agree. Pushing it.
Get Adam Page out of that tag team.
Yeah, Page has a lot of potential too. Get him out of that. I think they did that because they didn't want to hurt their singles careers, given that others are getting a big push right now. Okay, next for AEW, Jericho Cassidy looking like a potential rematch here. Are we pushing or burying? Deuce, we'll start with you.
Pushing that shit. Did you guys see that shit? Oh my gosh. That fucking super kick out of fucking nowhere. I was floored. I was like, oh, no, he did not. Man, it was fucking great. We need it again. But we need a different type of match. We need it to be, add an element into it.
Orange versus Bat match?
Shut up. Anyway, you need to add some sort of element to it because to make it, because when you have a sequel, what do? You push the limits, right? You always got to do that. So add an element to this match. Make it something. Put that stupid bat up. I forgot what he called it. Floyd, is that the name of his bat? Fucking Negan looking piece of shit. So put the bat up top. Whoever gets it just starts wailing on the other person.
Add on a pole match?
Yeah, there you go. Add something to it. But yes, gotta have it. Got to have it. Seal Kid.
Yeah, I'm fully with you. I would like to add an element too. I don't care how that element is. The only thing that annoys me is it feels like a repayment match now. Like we had talked about a couple weeks ago about this match, or last week I should say. I thought Jericho, now that you're going to give me a second match, and it seems more clear like Cassidy is going to go over this time around, I feel like Cassidy should just went around the first time. Like he should have been over the first time. The first match was so great. I loved it, and I loved the way it broke down and the way that everything went, if that was going to be the end of it. But now that you're going to have a second match, which I still push anyway, it makes me really feel like Cassidy should have just won the first time, because now you're just giving him a win because you had him take a loss. And if that's going to be the case, flip that order. Let Cassidy get that first win. Take advantage of that peak. But
to your credit, you said that last week.
Yeah, yeah. Exactly. So, nonetheless, I'm still not going to complain because, as you just said, Doozy, the match was great. I loved it. And I love Cassidy, so I'm all in for a second time. Brett?
I'm gonna push it as well, but again, strictly for business purposes. Those two are arguably the most over people in AEW, so it makes sense to stick them together. I'd like to see a stipulation match as well. I was gonna say a TLC match, but then I was like, oh yeah, Jericho's like 50. So a nice, if they did like a good steel cage match, I think that would be really, really good. I'd love to see Cassidy do the hands in his pockets dive off the top of the cage. I think that would be the tits. But yeah, just for business purposes, it makes sense. So I would push it for that. Push it real good.
Shout out to AEW for taking the top people at the time, the top vibe, and just putting them together rather than waiting for some substantial pay-per-view or whatever. Something WWE never does. They make you wait until the end of the year.
Whereas it's not your turn.
Yeah.
He likes to cut me off. It's okay. I'm gonna say that
like a
shut up, kid.
It's just because he can't handle how he got owned on the Rock stuff earlier.
I didn't get him. You would have been with me. Go ahead.
I don't think so.
No way.
Deuce knows
what a heel is.
To drive this storyline. I want it till the orange is rotten, man. Just keep it going. That first match was so freaking good. Just like Ducey said, he was doing his little like fake kick thing and then sweet chin music out of nowhere, making that fresh.
Super kick.
Super kick. That's super. Everyone does a super kick, but he did it differently. And I just keep it going. It's great. They have a great chemistry. It's a suitable feud for him. His foe makes a lot of sense to his actual character for Cassidy and Jericho. And I'm down for it. Push it. But I agree with Steel Kid. They should have just had him go over in the first one, but it looks like they're doing this on purpose to give him the win in the second match. So that, or they're going to do this whole Jeff Hardy Triple H circa 2004, whenever it was, when Jeff Hardy lost like 6 times in a row and then he finally won. Maybe they'll do something like that, but I love it. Keep it going. And with that, we are in our small talk segment where we take a break from wrestling for a minute to talk about some things in the pop culture world. And this week's topic I love because I love both these shows. Seinfeld or The Office? Which do you gentlemen prefer? Seal Kid, we'll start with you, Mr. Seinfeld.
Oh, yeah. So I'm going to pick Seinfeld. And I love The Office. I didn't grow up with The Office, obviously. Seinfeld. Everything in Seinfeld is still relevant to today. It's still amazing. And the only reason, and as much as I love The Office, for me, the rewatchability of Seinfeld, you can just pick any episode randomly and jump right in. Whereas with The Office, when I throw it on, I'm like, I don't really want to watch this section where, this little storyline is going on and the episodes are so paired together and maybe you don't like this set of cast that's been changing, so you pick certain episodes. I feel like the pool of episodes I choose from randomly in The Office is smaller than the pool of episodes I pick from Seinfeld. In terms of funniness, they're both great. I love Seinfeld. I love The Office. It's both really good. So I won't really do much with that. But just to rewatch an episode randomly, like I said, the pool that I can pick from Seinfeld without having to depend on watching the next episode or the last episode, it's much bigger. So that's why I'll roll with Seinfeld.
Brett.
Yeah, so I'm going to go with Seinfeld as well, and that's no disrespect to The Office because I also am a big Office fan, but Seinfeld. Jake?
Short and sweet. Oh, you want me next, man. I'm hoping for the sweep because I'm going Seinfeld here. Office is fantastic. I do believe you can start from any episode in The Office as well, and it does have rewatchability just like Seinfeld does, but Seinfeld to me is just the GOAT when it comes to comedy television. You can't touch it. 9 seasons of almost perfection, and every episode is relevant to anything today. And it's got classic lines. All 4 characters are fantastic across the board. Office is awesome. I love it, but Michael left after season 7, and none of the top 4 left during that run. So it was a stable show throughout. Deuce.
He's gonna do it, isn't he?
He's gonna do it.
Because he's got to be
I'm
different.
going The Office.
All right.
And here's my reason why. Don't get me wrong. Seinfeld is hilarious. Like you said, you could pick any season, any episode, drop it in your little player and be like, this is funny. The Office, you watch for the story. Not just any sort of character. You're watching the entire Office as it unfolds season to season. Okay? You fall in love with the characters. From episode 1, you already hate Toby. So it's throughout the episode, like, what's Toby going to do that's going to piss Michael off? I can't wait. You're waiting for it. It's like, oh, get the shit out of here, Toby. And then he leaves, then he comes back, and oh my gosh, do you remember that reaction of Michael? Oh, great. Then you get Jim, not only, doing what he does with Pam, slamming it to Karen, slamming it to Pam, marries Pam, 2 kids, awesome. And you got Dwight doing his thing with Angela all the time. It's hilarious, okay? You watch Office, not just for the comedy, but for the story. Seinfeld, no story, just comedy.
That's
Fair points, but I'll always be convinced you just did that because you're a nonconformist.
He
Yes.
didn't want us to get the supermarket sweep.
Nope, he sure didn't. Look at him. Look at him.
And I
sorry,
would never
that-
take. I wouldn't even. I would replace Jim with any extra on Seinfeld. Just for the record, I don't think Jim's that great. I think he's
I
like
think he's
good, but
underrated. Dude, I think he's
Jimothy?
underrated. He gets credit. His simplicity is just, it's on point. Somebody else's simplicity wouldn't come in and be as good.
he's like my 9th favorite character on that show. Creed's my number 1 though, so I'm a little
You
out
That
there.
makes
overrated
sense.
Creed through the roof, dude. You've been
Dude,
overrated.
Creed's great.
Creed's
You guys don't know
fantastic.
dick.
He's great.
Sometimes you got to ride the bull, am I right? Later, Steve.
He's the basis for the grassroots.
Oh, yeah.
All right, let's. Always fun to talk, small talk. We're gonna move on to our list, and I'm curious to hear from you guys here. Seal Kid, you want to start us off?
Yeah, sure. This is easy for me. The thing that made the list is these lame freaking music things that they got going on in WWE. This karaoke showdown with the Divas. I'm going to call them the Divas because that's what they reverted back to this week. I don't know if you guys saw it. It was pretty much just each person comes out and has a moment to sing, and Naomi essentially wins it, and it's just rated by Uso. And it was just such a filler. Like, if you're going to do that and then follow me up with watching an old match of Bray Wyatt versus Strowman, which is not even the best one that they could have chosen out of rewatching matches, like, you're so obviously filling, and there wasn't even any action or anything that really gave me. And then the match that followed for the karaoke match was broken down also. So it was just a lame way to include women's wrestling, and I thought that was just corny, especially when you got Bayley and Banks, and they're the best thing in SmackDown right now. So why not confirm that?
Not gonna argue that. Fair point. Do you see who's on your list?
I better go last.
Okay. All right. Brett, who do you got on your list?
I'm going to pass on this one. And it's just because I don't have really anything that right now that I think I'm really that angry about. So I'm going to pass on this. No list for me today. Sorry to jip you. I mean, sorry to let anybody down, but I just not into it right now. Not this part. I just there's been a lot of negativity and everything, and I understand it and all that stuff. I just right now I just don't feel like contributing to that. So, Deuce, talk about COVID.
The list is on your list.
Yeah.
That was your
the
list. Was
made
the
your
list.
I guess it did, yeah.
Fucking negative
I'll
Nancy.
go before you do, C. So you don't have to. You can go last. I had Shayna Baszler on my list, but that wound up being a segment. So I'm still gonna keep her on my list because I just not a fan of the gimmick. I don't care for her coming back, and I just think it's pointless. And I didn't like that she took the spotlight from not only the ninjas but also R-Truth, because R-Truth is the man. He needs more exposure than what he's getting, He is a comedic genius. He's great in the ring. He's so underrated on his in-ring talent, and he's great on the mic. He has the perfect formula, and I love that he's the 37 times I think now he's held the 24/7, 34/7 belt.
Lots of times.
It's great. I love it. He's going to have more title reigns than any other wrestler in the history of wrestling. Just remember that.
Terrible.
Plus, he's got more album sales than CL Kid.
Oh,
what's up?
Man,
What's
Not
up?
better all that matters.
I'm with you, but I like R-Truth. R-Truth is entertaining as hell, you know, and like you said, he can go. So
Yeah, he hasn't really fallen off in ring. Pretty much just what
no,
he
not at all.
He's
And
like
he's been there for
60.
years.
He's like 60
He's
or
real
something.
old.
He's old. Deuce, who you dropping a deuce on?
Everybody who hates the Big Show. The Big Show's back, buddy, and I am loving it. Okay? The Big Show is back. Fuck you, Slice Cake Jake. Fuck you, CL Kid Skid Mark.
Pro Big Show.
Because, oh, okay, never mind. The Big Show is awesome, okay? Yes, he had his own Netflix series, which, you know, was better than most of the stuff on Netflix.
I liked it.
Yep, but we get Big Show, and I'm ready for him to come out, just do mayhem that he used to do.
Mayhem?
I don't want. Yeah, it's a
Mayhem?
good sandwich. Have you ever had a mayhem sandwich?
Is that a
fucking
ham sandwich?
awesome.
Is that a ham sandwich that
mayo?
you have in May?
or in May?
It's like it's all mayo that's just got a little bit of ham in between.
You have to ask. You have to ask politely for that ham sandwich.
No,
No, you have to do.
make my
May I-
sandwich, bitch.
May I have a mayhem? Sorry.
So anyway, Big Show, great. Everybody who hates him on my list.
I'm going to co-sign Deuce's list
Oh,
Nice.
because I also like Big Show. So co-sign.
7 years ago. All right. Well, this next segment, I like the name of it, Charlie. Good stuff here. Future Shock, the PPV picks done quick, named after lame McIntyre DDT. So let's get our picks in, boys, for the Extreme Rules Horror Show this Sunday. Starting off first.
Don't worry, it's not every match.
I'm going to go with Cruz versus MVP for the fresh-looking United States Championship belt.
You added that in there. I didn't even want that corniness in there.
I thought you wanted all the matches from the card.
No, I just picked some of the better ones. Like I
Oh, okay. Well, you run this segment. It's all yours. I'll eat my ice cream. Go ahead.
Fine. Let's just go with Mysterio Rollins to start. I'm still going to go Rollins unless they do that Mysterio heel turn thing that I love. That's going to happen in some capacity. Whether it's done.
Seriously, this guy's a fucking idiot.
It's going to happen. So, wait for it to happen, and I will come on here silently and just accept your applaud. I'll go Rollins. Who you got, Brett?
I'm also going to go with Rollins.
Jesus, back to back.
Well, I mean, it makes sense for his character because Mysterio is a babyface and will always be a babyface. And he's just that's not a babyface move, and that would do a lot for that Rollins character. So I'm definitely going with Rollins.
You want to go last again?
No, go ahead. I'll go.
ahead.
Because
Let's
we've
hear
had
you.
two idiotic responses, so we might as well have a smart one. It's going to be Rey Mysterio, okay? It may not be him pulling that eye. We might see Dominic pull that eye. But if you're talking about Rey Mysterio being babyface, going to stay babyface, Dominic's going to come in with the darkness and rip that shit out.
It's
Rey
a
Mysterio
swerve, bro.
for the win.
Swerve, bro.
That
I do believe Seth Rollins will job once again. And unfortunately, as much as I love Rollins, I think they're going to give it to Mysterio. Although, interesting enough, I think Mysterio's contract's up or something's going on with him. So that may influence the match too. But yeah, Deuce, just so you know, Anakin let me know. I know you're yelling at him, but he said that he's on the train of Mysterio going over on Rollins too. So.
Oh, nobody's here. I'm just telling the world.
All right, well, let's move on from Mysterio Rollins here. CL Kid, you got Asuka versus Banks.
Yes, I will roll with Asuka. And I'm rolling with Asuka because I feel like that keeps a little dissension between Banks and Bailey if Asuka wins this, keeps the title, and also you got that match with Kairi saying that they're trying to tease him for the title as well. So I'll roll with Asuka.
I hope Bailey goes over, so I'm gonna go Bailey.
We're not talking about the Bailey
We're
match,
not
are we?
talking about Bailey
Or
match.
Banks.
Banks.
Banks,
Fucking
Bailey,
right.
same shit.
You got
Banks.
that McFlurry on your brain over there.
I'm going Banks.
I'll
Ice cream
also
machine's
go.
down.
Like always, I'm gonna go with Asuka as well, for basically the same reasons that CL said. It's good for the Bailey storyline and everything, and the more that Sasha Banks loses, the more that's gonna force the issue. So definitely Asuka. Plus Asuka deserves it. Squash would be cool, but I don't see it happening.
I'm going Banks in this one because having Bailey 2 belts and Sasha having 2 belts, they're going to have to split up. That tag team's going to go downward. And then, who knows what happens. I see, are we going to have an Evolution this year? I don't really care. Doesn't matter. But sorry. But no, I want to see it. I honestly do. And if you're going to have the Asuka Kairi Sane match, don't have it for a title. That's the only reason
I would love to see them both have the world titles and the tag team belts. I think it's really cool. I don't know. Be super interesting.
It's Bailey Dose Straps, by the way.
Bailey Dose Straps.
Give me a fucking break.
Speaking of
I like
lameness, Bailey versus Nikki Cross.
I want to start.
Bailey.
Nikki Cross is, I don't know if you guys read like Bleacher Report and any of that stuff, is so overrated right now. Nikki Cross is getting so much hype on all these platforms. Like,
why?
She's in the best run. She's so amazing. She's elevating it. Other than Bailey, she's the best thing in WWE right now. I'm like,
oh, what?
if you talk about Brett, you want to see a squash match? That should be the match. Bailey should go in,
Agreed.
dominate with a gun. Bailey's the best thing right now in terms of character, other than, like, I love Randy Orton and stuff like that. But just over on SmackDown, Bailey should easily win. What do you think, Brett?
I'm also going to go with Bailey. I'm not going to share on that Nikki Cross hate. I think Nikki Cross is really good. I think this is going to be – this is tough because I could definitely I could definitely see a situation with like an Alexa Bliss interference for the DQ, but that wouldn't make sense, which means it might happen. But,
Asuka and Banks.
Right. I definitely see Bailey retaining. Duswa.
It's pretty simple. I don't know who writes for Bleacher Report. Probably the same people who write for WeGotThisCovered.com. So it's just a bunch of idiots. Nikki Cross is not over. She's awesome. As psychotic as she is, she's clearly awesome. But she's mid-tier. Maybe mid-tier. So no, it's a Bailey. Easy. Belly to Bailey suplex, bam. Ring the bell.
I don't disagree. I don't disagree with that Nikki Cross being mid-card sentiment. That's a fair point.
So Bailey wins. I'm not going to give this any more time. Ziggler versus McIntyre. Ooh, my boy Ziggler getting a shot.
Have Brett start.
Brett, let's hear from you.
Ziggler.
Yeah, so I'm gonna go with Drew McIntyre, but I think it's gonna be a fantastic match because Dolph Ziggler is fantastic. He's gonna make Drew McIntyre look like $1 million.
Best jobber in the biz.
That's right.
Yeah, I'm with you. I know McIntyre's going to win, unfortunately. I want Ziggler, but we know how this is going to work.
Claymore kick, ring the bell. Game over.
Squash?
Such a waste.
Really?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm
No way is
thinking
that
squash.
No way, it's a squash.
No way.
Who wants to put money on it?
$5.
$10 from every single one of you
Fine,
fuckers.
$10. Whatever.
If it's under
I'm
a
not
minute.
gonna.
If it's under a minute.
Under a minute, $10. You got it.
Yep. Okay. Go,
I don't want to take your money, bud. I don't want to do that.
pussy. CO Kid?
I'm not cheering against my person. I don't do that. That's why I don't play fantasy sports. I want
Who likes
Ziggler.
a fantasy?
I know, it's great.
Ziggler's
I got
gonna win.
one hit. That's fine.
Ziggler's going to win.
Wow.
It's gonna be a shocker. He's gonna win.
You got $10 on that?
No, but I think they're gonna pull one on us. I think they're gonna pull a fast one on us here.
Let it ride, dude. Fucking, well, that's the $20 you could win, man. Bet me.
If he does win, it's going to be a short reign.
Yeah, I think it'll be a quick turnaround.
I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't see it happening, but that would be a good thing if they want to do the not obvious thing. I'll give you that.
I'd pay $20 just for it.
I wouldn't hate it. I like Dolph Ziggler.
You know why he's gonna win? Because guess who has a briefcase? That's why.
Ooh.
Oh. Terrible though.
And I hate that.
No,
but that's
not
the
gonna
only
happen.
way it can happen.
Cash-in's only going to happen when the crowd's in there.
Good point.
Oh, that's a good point.
That's fair.
Well, yeah.
Otis has the briefcase, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
See, I don't even know. I don't like Otis, man.
You gotta follow Mandy Rose on Instagram, dude.
Wait, did you just say you don't like Otis?
I don't like Otis, and I do follow Mandy Rose on Instagram.
Otis.
Nah, not really.
Oh, I can't
No, he's
stand
a
him.
hater.
He's the worst.
Jake, you like Otis.
Not a fan.
The worst. Otis is the worst. Can't
Okay,
stand
good.
him.
Nobody likes him.
No.
Finally.
Cup of haters.
Yeah, whoever has him followed on the Podjobbers Twitter at PodjobbersPod, I wake up every morning to that dude's tweets, and it's like, God damn it, dude, because they all start out with "oh yeah," and then like whatever it is he wants to say. So
He's a Kool-Aid man, dude.
Sorry.
who else?
I apologize. I have to. Though.
It's all good, bud. I get it.
Let's get him on the show. All right, before we close the show out, let's go with this. Is this the swamp match? Bray versus
God.
Braun.
Last one.
Braun is winning because it's not the Fiend. So I'm just going Braun, unfortunately, in this one.
Is this for the belt?
Yeah.
I didn't think it was. I thought it was a non-title.
Oh, really?
I think so.
That changes
Well,
things.
If
It's
if
non-title.
if it's non-title, then I'm definitely gonna go with Bray, and because it's gonna be a cinematic match, right?
Probably.
Like,
well, probably a little
I
more.
I think it would be cool. I was a big fan of the like backwoods cult leader character of Bray Wyatt, so I think he could do a lot of cool stuff with this. This might be shit that has been sitting on the burners for 5 years now that he's been thinking about that he's finally going to be able to do. And if that's the case, I have no reason to believe the match itself isn't going to be super sweet.
Brett, you're right. The title's not going to be on the line.
I was right. Steve
Yeah.
Holt.
Apparently, they say that the rumor is that this will be the second of 3 matches, with the third match being the Fiend return. So this will be a cinematic non-title match with Strowman probably.
Yeah, Bray Wyatt's going to
I
win.
mean, we all know Bray Wyatt's going to win this. Why are we even talking about it?
Bray can win it just to save face because it's not for the title. And then the title match that he earned by winning this in the cinematic match will be an actual match with the Fiend coming
I
back.
mean, Braun's going to die. He's going to get eaten by an alligator.
And throw him over a building into a swamp, into an alligator mouth.
Shut up,
I
CL
think-
kid.
I think it'd be cool if they threw him in the lake as kind of a nod to that Hardy compound match.
That's what
I think that would be funny.
Jake,
They'll do something like he comes out like Swamp Thing.
That's
I bet you they will, just because it's so stupid and it's Braun's stupid Strowman.
an AEW thing.
Yeah. All right. All right. Well, thank you, Marks. We got some couple of surprise guests today, and we did really good on timing. So Deuce, welcome back. Brett, welcome back. And that's all for Podjobbers this week, baby.
Bye.